Hey, Printavo print houses, welcome back to the podcast. Very excited to have you. Happy Wednesday. Hopefully that's coming out on a Wednesday.
It's snowing like freaking crazy here.
Welcome to the winter snow. We've got Mr. Stephen Farag out of Campus Ink. I'm Bruce from Inktavo.
Get you a new neon sign.
Yeah, true. What is Inktavo? Inktavo is a holding company of all the different software products we're using to help shops grow. Printavo, Inksoft, graphicsflow.com. So yeah, we'll talk about more about that later. But anyway, first up is GraphX Source. If you need a solution to help improve efficiency and reduce costs in your art department, they have industry-leading outsourcing options to help your shop truly become a part of your team. Can you just say like more specific? I know we've got this, but like really specifically, what do you use GraphX Source for in your shop?
Yeah, so we have two dedicated artists and people on staff. One is doing all of our art, so mock-up, separation, vectoring, digitizing. They plug and play with Printavo, so they're a user on our team. And we talk to them on Skype all day, and they're basically our art department. Other side is back office, so building online stores, closing stores, skewing, cataloging, being in Shopify, just having another person on the team, and they are awesome. So thanks so much to Nick Wood, Lucas, Brent, the Graphic Source team. Tell them you got this from the pod, and you get 50% off your first vector SEP order. Yeah, I think that's it.
Sweet. All right. Easy way. All right. So obviously, you know that you shouldn't be spending all day cleaning dirty screens. And of course, you know that Easy Way's line of environmentally conscious chemicals will get the job done faster, more efficiently, and a cost of the fraction per screen. All right. We've talked about that. You guys know that. But most importantly, Easy Way is a company that you can reach out to. That not only when you buy your chemicals through one of their 100+ distributors, they're going to be helpful right there to be able to debug issues, best practices, how-tos, things like that. They are more than willing to help. Alex and the crew there are awesome to be able to text, call, reach out to be able to support you in your shop. So Easy Way. It's the easiest way. I'm a little sick from impressions. Long Beach.
Bruce, you saw Multicraft Daddy over the weekend?
I did. He was cruising around doing his thing.
You got a little gift from him there?
I did. I got to open it up. I'm excited. He actually said that people would say, hey, are you the Multicraft? I'm looking for a Multicraft Daddy.
I'm so thankful that he took some good person's advice and made his Instagram that handle. I want to see how many.
This was the weirdest but acceptable experience, he said.
Well, Multicraft's, if you need ink supplies or daddy, you hit up Multicraft. More importantly, they are building a new facility in Illinois that's going to be a showroom. It's going to be used for education. There's going to be presses in there. There's going to be tons of stuff, and we're still trying to figure out the name. I've got Daddy Shack, but I don't think that's going to fly. But we're super pumped for the team at Multicraft. And yeah, if you need anything, hit up Multicraft_Daddy.
Screen printing digital supplies for over 50 years. Top brands at competitive prices. Yeah, definitely mention Printavo Pod. They get you a discount. That will be helpful. All right. And then last but not least, Super Color. So something new for shops just came out. We actually recorded with the founders and president, Mike and Rum, which that episode should be dropping soon. But Super Color's got an all new and improved heat transfer, the V2. I keep calling it V2. They call it Next Gen.
Next Gen.
This second iteration, though, has 3 huge enhancements for every production facility. I even tested it, which was kind of cool at the show.
With your crappy heat press, right?
No, I was using a proper heat press at the show, but you're right. I should test it on a crappy heat press, and here's why. They literally bought and have tons of heat presses of varying quality in their facility now that they use to test this new V2 on. And so now what it does is it's so much easier to peel. It's not a lot more compatible with many more heat presses to give you that perfect peel and print. The colors are more vibrant on the darks and lights for your customers, which is really cool. But it's just overall faster. So it's a lot more less time spending futzing around.
They had it running on the Stampinator this weekend.
Yeah, they did a contest. Actually,
they had it running on a Stampinator and peeling. So if you've used Supercolor in the past, their new transfer is killer. And you should absolutely give them a call and a try. And is there still a discount? Maybe?
Yeah, Printavo 15 for 15% off. We just got it re-added because I know it expired. So this is re-added so you can use it again this year.
We should ask Ram how many people use it. That's cool.
Just like me and you.
Hamish.
And so, yeah, make sure to check it out. All their new orders are on this next gen version now. So you could be able to check them out. If you had an issue, check it out. If you love it, keep checking it out. And thanks for listening.
Yeah.
All right, let's jump into the episode. Jeff, you... I think I've called a couple people a mad scientist here, Farag, on this podcast, but I'm going to put you into that category, Jeff, as a mad scientist.
Category.
Listen,
my category is actually MacGyver. So if you guys remember the show MacGyver, I don't know how old you guys are, but
nah.
I'm MacGyver.
Have you seen MacGyver, Steven?
I
don't exactly know what it is.
I know they could. That's Houdini gets out of traps. MacGyver builds stuff.
Yeah, so MacGyver's the guy that it was a show called MacGyver, and if let's say a good scene was they're flying a helicopter and something happens, and they're doing all these exciting things, and he was able to go in, take the instrument panel off, and use a girl's barrette to fix it. That's kind of you got to watch it. It was pretty good back in the day.
Well, yeah, I mean, most people I think listening have heard of the Stampinator. If not, we're going to talk about what it is. It's a really cool, I'm going to say add-on to an automatic press. Maybe that's not the right way to describe it, but like if I would just, picture it, it takes the place of one head, and you can use it for a couple different purposes, which we'll get into. But it's a really cool piece of machinery. You guys were doing like a heat transfer speed test at Long Beach. I know there's other things you could do like matting down fibers and so on. But anyway, what I find most fascinating is that this guy right here is the one who built it. And maybe it's because, I'm in like a software mind. And so when somebody builds somewhere like a hardware product, like Steven, your partner, like he builds actual things, and I'm like mind blown. It's like, no, he like welded that together. Like he built it. I'm like, wait, with his hands, or, he ordered it from Amazon. But Jeff, you started Slant Engineering, and it seems one of the products and main focus is the Stampinator, which is incredible. You can check it out at Stampinator. I believe it's stampinator.com. But
Stampinator.com, correct.
Okay. Would love to talk more about it. Very excited to have you here. So first of all, thank you for taking some time out.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Okay, so first off, what is the Stampinator? And then maybe we can get into how you came up with this thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Stampinator is a product that allows you to do inline heat transfers, as well as matting fibers. With all the different fabrics that we have today, you get a lot of fibrillation. So fibrillation is when you print your underbase and you flash it, the fibers want to kind of come up through the ink. Well, the Stampinator replaces your flash, and you hit your underbase wet, and it mats down the fibers, gives you a really nice, super smooth surface, soft surface to print on top of with ease. And, depending on your shop and what level of printing you do, it takes an award-winning print to another level.
There you go. That was it. That was the Shark Tank episode. I'm in.
Do you want to be an award-winning screen printer, Steven?
And wait, Mr.
There's
Wonderful,
more?
I have one more thing. There's more. It cures. So if you're a small shop, you can take the Stampinator and put it on the last print head, and anywhere from 4 to 7 seconds, we've tested with Rutland and Wilflex inks, you can get a full cure on press.
Wow.
Without having to run your shirt through the conveyor dryer. So that is the Stampinator.
Okay, I just have to go back to MacGyver days. What in the hell were you thinking when you're like, I want to take a heat press and put it on a automatic press? walk us through V1. When did it happen? What did it look like? How many things did you set on fire? You know.
So back in the day,
give us a year. We need a year.
A year.
Yeah.
I'm going to go back like 2014, but it was even before that. We did some shirts for a player at the Ravens that we did, and he wanted foil in the design, and we couldn't do foil on press. So I was like, I'd really like to come up with a concept on how we can print and apply foil in one step. So thought about it, nothing really happened, and we started doing Under Armour backpacks. So Under Armour would send us 5,000, 10,000, 15, 20, 25, right? And we're doing a heat transfer. And I had 3 people in the heat press room, maybe doing 1,500 a day, right? And they're talking. There's only so many you can do manually loading and unloading, putting a decal and stamping it. So I just kind of went home, and one morning I woke up early in the morning, 2:30, 3 o'clock, had this vision, this idea on how I was going to make the Stampinator, and created it to have an inline heat press. And that was right around 2015. And
do you have any engineering experience? Like, do you know?
Yeah, what do you mean created it?
Where do you start? Yeah, where do you start?
I created it.
So, first of all, you have to have an idea and a vision, right? That's the start. So that vision, it came. And basically what I ended up doing was I looked at some of the things that were on the market already, not necessarily what I was creating, but flash units. And I designed the first Stampinator out of cardboard cutout. So I cut everything out, did my mock-up. I did all the design, all the components in Illustrator, because I wasn't using SolidWorks back then, and had an understanding for mechanics and having somewhat being mechanically inclined of how I could build this and make this work. And the first unit that I built actually came in between 75 and 80 pounds. It was like super heavy, but
by built, you mean like cut the metal from the cardboard as like the template and like weld it together?
Yeah. So my buddy he's got a sheet metal machine shop. So he's like, look, you can come down, you can use any piece of equipment that you want and build this thing. So I did. I went down there. I ended up using his machinery and made the first prototype and took it into the shop. And next thing you know, we were producing 5,000 backpacks in one day.
People that can work with metal, that's like a God-given, like it's this secret underground world. My business partner's a welder. And what Bruce alluded to earlier is the shit that y'all can come up to as a fabricator is insane. So wait, did you get another heating element and like put it inside the like frame of it? Like, did you buy a heating element from China? Like, how did you actually make the two work?
I went out, I purchased a few components that were out on the market already, ripped them apart, used the guts, used the electronics to develop and design it. And the one thing for me was, look, I am definitely all about American-made products, offering somebody a job and being able to just create and build something and with your hands, or just really in the States. I feel like, as where we live and who we are, and for the people out there who create companies and businesses, we're not doing it just for ourselves to make a ton of money or a little bit of money. I think there's a little bit more behind it. It feels good to give somebody an opportunity to come work for you and to grow with you. And to me, that was kind of important with components. I wanted, American-made product. I want it to be assembled in the States. And the best partner that I could find for that was a fit with GeoKnight. For me to go out and manufacture my own parts, I could do that, but I pay maybe a little bit more to work with a partner who is pretty well known in the industry and has a really good product at the end of the day. And so I was fortunate enough that they were able to work with me and sell me the guts of what I needed. But a lot of things I had to redesign, and they actually did the manufacturing for me. And so when that comes back to like the heating element and the tooling and everything that we had to pay for, and it's been great. I mean, I couldn't think of a better partner to have when it comes to the products that we use from Geonite, and they're pretty well known within the industry. Geonite and Stahls, are the top two, and it's been great.
Yeah, that first one that you made, that you kind of jerry rigged together a bit. I guess I'm just picturing, like you plug it in and you've got like a lab coat on and like some goggles and stuff, and it like starts smoking or something. You're like, shit, back to the lab. But did it go well, or what was that? What was that like?
It did. It was. I had a solid cover on it, so all the electronics fried the first time from all the heat, right? Because I was trying to I just wanted to have everything in one unit. I didn't want to have like a control panel hanging off of it. And so we did a porthole mesh. We put a fan on there, and it worked out well. It was great. And from there, I tested it in my shop for about 2 years and just ran it. And then I realized that, I had filed for a patent at that point because I knew I had something. Mm-hmm. And it was great. And I had my brother who got involved with me early on. He kept talking, to me about all the trade shows and what we need to do. We need to get out there. And I was just like, I don't think we're there yet. And we hit our first trade show, which was in Fort Worth. And I believe that was in 2016, maybe 17.
Yeah, I think I remember that actually.
Yeah. Jeff, so everyone listening, this unit sits in one of the heads of your auto, and then it actually goes down, or it actually like indexes almost with the press, right? Or does it have a separate foot control? Like how does that work? Like it actually works with the press, right?
Yeah. So our unit is basically plug and play. It fits in every press on the market, from Rock, M&R, Workhorse, Anatol, TOS, MHM, and I think I named them all. Yeah. So
even
you
Brown?
Basically no, Brown machines are for manual press or printing only. So their frames are, just a manual frame. Ours fits in all units that are 23 by 31. So it fits in presses that have side clamps as well. So when your press indexes, if you have a press where the carousel raises, it actually comes up and hits the Stampinator. It's just, we set everything on the off contact level of what a screen would be. So you're getting anywhere from a 16th to a 1/4 inch compression, 16th, 8th, or a 1/4 inch compression on the Stampinator. And that allows it, again, to mat down your fibers. And then you have the presses like an M&R or a Rock, where certain brands where the heads come down, and it works really well with those as well on their presses. So we, trying to get manufacturers to work with you is tough. I'm a screen printer. I developed a piece of product, equipment for the industry as a screen printer to help screen printers. I feel like, my sales pitch on the Stampinator is how many sales reps have come in here and sold you a piece of equipment that they said to you it was going to change your life. You tried it, it didn't work. You put it in the corner and it became a shelf, right? We've all been there. We're all desperate to a certain point when we're first starting out. We want to find the right piece of equipment that's going to change our life, make things easier. And we've bought product that hasn't done that. And I truly stand behind the Stampinator that it is a product that will change your life. And to the testimonial on that is everyone who has bought a Stampinator that has multiple presses has come back and bought, a second, third, or fourth, or fifth, sixth unit.
Jeff, you're like the FUBU of screen printing, or it's for us by us. It's like for FSBS, for screen printers by screen printers.
I mean, right? That's dog food. Yeah, that works. Like, you believe in it.
That's the best way to do it.
That's the best way to do it.
And you're still running the shop too, right?
Absolutely. I have one on both presses, and every product that comes out of our shop is stamped. The underbase is stamped. We do a ton of neck labels. So one of the great things about the Stampinator is when we print, or we'll do a print or a transfer neck label, we always, if we're running a screen print neck label, we have our Stampinator at the last head. We dry the ink. So I have one operator who can do about anywhere from 400 to 500 shirts an hour by themselves. If I have two, we can run about 1,020, curing it without running through the dryer. So now at this point, we don't have somebody at the end of the dryer catching the shirts. It's two employees, right? So that saves on your cost labor, but you can take and apply that person to do something else if they're not catching. So that's how I utilize it. I really look at it. It's just another employee in my shop that saves me money at the end of the day.
Going back to Fort Worth, what happened after your first show? So, you spent all this time,
God.
you make a really cool product. I'm sure you said you tested it internally. No fire hazards. You're at Fort Worth now.
Yeah.
What?
So I'll just give you the whole rundown. It's kind of lengthy, but it was an experience. So I ran all these samples of transfers.
Mm-hmm.
So we printed samples. I had a 10 by 10 booth. I decided I'm not going to ship the Stampinator because it's so heavy that I was afraid UPS. At that point, I just wasn't sure how to package it correctly. Right? I was excited.
You're going to ship it to the hotel?
Yeah. So I took it to the airport with me in a suitcase. And I go to check it in. And they're like, we can't accept this. You have a lithium battery underneath. And I said, it's not a battery. It's a heating element, blah, blah, blah. Well, they're like, look, you have to disassemble this thing, and you got to split it up. It's way too heavy for luggage. So I checked in. I said, okay. I went through. I bought a suitcase, came back, right? I said, look, I don't have any tools with me. And the woman had called a maintenance guy. The maintenance guy came over. He got all the tools I needed. We took the thing apart. I split it up in two suitcases. Get on the plane. We get to Fort Worth. I had to go to a Home Depot, buy some tools, reassemble the whole thing. I did that. And we go to the trade show. First day, right? And super excited. I'm selling the Stampinator for $19,000 because I had the patent on a heat press running on your automatic press, right? So I'm thinking, who's not going to pay $19,000 for this? It's a game changer. Well, come to find out, a lot of interest. I mean, our booth was packed. We had 15, 20, 25 people who kept coming by. It was awesome.
That's awesome.
And, but back then people were like transfers. We don't really do transfers. For us, I was doing a lot of team numbers and things like that. Right. And here's this guy who is over at the Rock booth, and he was watching us the whole weekend, and he was super interested in what we had. And, he came over and he started talking to my brother, and that was Ryan. Ryan came over and was like, hey, does this thing mat down fibers, and let's throw it in the press. And in my shop at one point, one of my flashes went out, and we were using the Stampinator to cure the underbase, but I just never really thought about using it in press in production as a flash to mat down fibers. So Ryan had asked my brother, like, hey, will this thing work on a rock? And he's like, I don't know. He said, let's throw it in the press and find out. So we put it in the rock press.
At the show?
At the end of the day, just, see if everything worked out. And Ryan was on board from that point on. Wasn't so sure about the name Stampinator, but he was like, we want to sell it. What do we need to do to work with you? And from that point on, Rock has really believed in the Stampinator, and they understand and see the need for it for their customers. And they've been a really good, distributor partner with us on selling the Stampinator. And
so you're saying, Jeff, when you first started using it, it wasn't in line on the press.
It was not in line as a flash matting fibers, just converting your automatic to doing transfers at that point.
Gotcha.
So we came back, and we worked with Rock on some testing to make sure the unit was, where it needed to be for their press with not harming the pallets and the print head and everything else. And Ryan came back with like the worst news you could ever hear. Hey, your unit is too heavy. It's 75 pounds. It needs to be under 50. So it took me, about 6 months to redesign the thing. And I did that. And we came in at 48 pounds, which was awesome. So it was at a weight that, a woman in a shop could manage it. It wasn't putting stress on your press. And
what is that iteration like? Are you like in the shop like, okay, this part's this heavy? Like, can the supplier, hey supplier, do you have a lighter weight version of this? Try to make sure it works. Go back and forth like that.
Yeah. So what I ended up doing, I started looking at how ovens and toasters were made, and I took that concept of the heating elements that were within a toaster, and we created one that I needed to make sure that I could get the recovery time of 1.5 seconds, because I was shooting for speed. So your traditional standard heat presses have a recovery time from anywhere from 10 to 15 seconds. So we were able to make that happen. And it's been great ever since we made the
Jeff,
change.
When you say recovery time, do you mean it like cools down, or like what is that like?
Yes. So when you apply heat onto a garment, it's taking the heat from within the platen out of the unit, so it might drop down to, like, say, from 300 to 280, right? And then if you're going again, like within 2 seconds, and it's at 280, it might bring it down to 270, 275. It's just going to keep draining the heat out. Whereas now, with the recovery time on ours, it automatically, when it drops 4 degrees, it starts to reheat back up to 300. So when we did that, because it's 240 volt, right, drawing 30 amps, which is, or draw 17 amps on a 30 amp breaker. 17 amps is nothing versus your flash. So it's really saves you over a year, a lot of money in electric as well, because flash units, your consumption of energy is used every time the unit comes on. Our unit comes on, it stays on all day at 17 amps. Whereas a flash, it's a 100 amp breaker or 60 amp breaker or 30, depending on the model you have. And it's using that burst of energy.
How many fires have you started iterating on this? Like when I go to my power box, like we've got 3 power box. I'm like, I'm going to die.
The sign says, back away, Steven.
Like 240, that'll, like, my business partner Jed says 110, that'll wake you up a little. 240, 220, that'll knock your socks off. Have you had any close calls?
Yeah, I mean, look, 220, not with the Stampinator. I had a close call with, I have an automatic screen cleaner. I weld. I weld aluminum, stainless, steel, whatever. My screen cleaner, which was 3 years old, had a little minor pinhole in it. And I went over, came in on a Saturday, and it was stainless. Went in, put the ground on there. Well, I must have, the way I was twisted and trying to get down inside this thing, I knocked the ground off, and I had 220 right through my arm, and then it came right out of my hand. And I'll tell you what, it's enough to kill you. 110 can kill you if it's in the proper environment, right? Yeah. So electricity is something that, if you're not certified or if you have no understanding about it, don't even mess with it. I'm fortunate. I got a twin brother who is a master electrician. So he was underground, high voltage. He knows it all, and which is great. And I got to tell you, I go into shops that my shop is super clean. You can eat off the floor. And I go into shops that are messy and people have done their own electrical. I don't know how they get away with it. It's just like, it's awful, but this industry, it's an expensive business to get into on a startup side. It's from your electrical to your equipment. And you got to make sure that you're doing everything correctly, because you have employees that are working for you. The last thing you want to do is put somebody in harm's way.
Yes, agree with that. And then wait, and then you made weight. It sounds like one of those like wrestler things, like right before they scale in. You came 2 pounds under. Ryan's happy, and shouts out to Ryan for taking a shot on that too. I think that's incredible. And by the way, have you gotten like one of those innovator awards, the YouTube SJA or like screen printer, mag innovation, or like?
No, but
okay.
You know what?
So this,
I don't even want one.
I get that, and that's fine. You're a modest guy, and you're not going to boast. But I just have to do a quick boast for you. We're only halfway through this. I'm not sure how long it's going to go. It's probably about halfway. And like the fact that you have done all of this with like the Stampinator Jeff family of like the brother, stepbrother, and all this in your shop, I think is absolutely unbelievable. Give this man an award, somebody. All right, sorry, Jeff.
We'll
go
give
ahead.
You the first Printavo Innovators Award.
Hey, look, I appreciate that. I got to tell you, it wasn't easy. I had a lot of people tell me I was crazy. Like, why are you getting involved in this? You're trying to create something. You're creating something in a small market that people are they're not going to buy into it. And I stuck with it. Look, I'm a believer in helping people out, giving somebody something that's going to make their life different and change their life to a certain extent. And I have a couple other products that are going to come out. So, one thing, going back to Stampinator, what I want to do is, people always ask me, how'd you come up with the name of Stampinator, right? And I couldn't think of a name for this product that I developed. And my daughter at one point was like, hey, Dad, can we watch Terminator? Everybody in school is talking about Terminator. All the boys. So we watched it, right? And as soon as Terminator came on and a couple action scenes, I was like, Stampinator. and that's where the Stampinator, evolved. The name evolved from was the Terminator movie, which is great. It was smooth sailing for the most part. We had some minor issues with Stampinator. I changed the aluminum plate, and we had some issues with it, but we corrected it pretty quickly. It took us about maybe a month or two to figure out what some of the issues we were having, and now our new unit it's phenomenal. I mean, it works. It's perfect.
Is it still $19,000?
No, I wish it was, but look, everybody. I had this one guy come to me and said, "Oh, you got a glorified flash, and you're selling it for $600 or $7,500 is where we were." And then I realized that, to compete in this market, I'm replacing a flash, even though it does, 3 different things. I got to be at that price mark. At that price point. So we did, and it's been great since.
And I noticed your prices come. So if you started at 19,000, it was 7,000 something online. It's 5,500. Why go down?
Well, look, for me, and my wife will tell you this. I am definitely not a greedy, needy person by no means. I just want to do things that I can help people, and I don't want to be the company that's, selling a T-shirt for $150, right? I mean, that's great if you can do it, but I want to grow into this industry, into this business of developing products and working with other manufacturers if that's out there, and sometimes it is, but I look at, my wife will tell you that it's a hobby for me at times because I'm always up here working and doing different things. But 5,500 I felt was a good price point. It works well for slant, and it works well for the consumer, that's buying it for their print shop. And I feel that, price gouging isn't something that I want to be a part of. I don't want to do that. I have a pretty good reputation in the industry. A lot of people, I've met a lot of good companies and friends over this that I've made, and I'd like to continue that and just deliver a good product at a great price. And, the 19,000 would have been great, but still tough to do. I was trying to sell it 19,000 because of the patent, but I realized that, sometimes that's just not feasible.
I was at Long Beach. I think this is the first time. So usually like Ryan in the atrium, Ryan's running like competitions to see how fast people can print, load and unload. Except this year it was a competition to how fast you could load, unload, put on a heat transfer and print it on the rock with the Stampinator. And I every year it kind of gets the crowd going and it's super cool. But like this year I was like, whoa, wait a second. He's heat pressing at 500 pieces an hour right now. And have you guys done that? But because like you had to make sure the transfer was really solid. That like it was Supercolors Gen 2, so it was absolutely gonna stick. And you had to make sure you were hitting it. I mean, it was literally like 5 seconds on the press. And Bruce, you were wearing one the other day.
Yeah.
How did you tune? Like, has that been the effectiveness of the Stampinator all along? And I'm just learning this.
Yeah. So look, when I first ran transfers, we did 480 transfers an hour. So it's not Stampinator. It's really Stampinator 480. And so I came up with doing, adding Stampinator 480, which
cool.
That kind of came because, do you guys know what WD-40 stands for? WD-40 is water displacement. It took them 40 times to create WD-40. So Stampinator 480, we're stamping and we were doing 480 units an hour. And that's kind of that idea, right? 480 an hour, one person. Okay. And then here we do the Stampa Grand Prix. We have everything's about speed at the rock booth, right? The presses, the Stampinator. And Ryan decides to launch this competition and give a Stampinator away. And it was incredible, right? One guy, Sam, who won the contest from Branded Threads, was running 660 transfers an hour. Now, for everyone out there who actually got a shirt, I don't know if that transfer is going to stick. But it was about speed and showing how much you can do with the Stampinator with the transfer. There's not one transfer press out there other than maybe this Italian press that can do more than 150 transfers an hour. So, question, Bruce, you wore the shirt the other day. Obviously, you washed it, right? Has the transfer peeled off?
Doesn't do laundry.
I didn't wash it yet.
Oh, okay. All right. So
I'll wash it. I'll let you know though. I'll text you after.
But at that point, we were just showing, really on how things work. So we're in the world of different media that's out there now with all these DTFs and the digital and screen printed backside of a transfer, and there's different heating and time applications you need to adhere to make sure that it stays on. So it's about speed with certain transfers that you're doing, and other things. It's not going to be about speed, but you're still going to get that quality and still produce more, because when you're unloading physically and pulling down or having to hit a button on your Hottronics or a Geonite heat press, you're averaging one person maybe 30 to 50 an hour, if that, because they're just not in tune. When you get in front of an automatic press, and now you have a loader and you're unloading, working together, as long as that press is programmed to run 200, 300 or whatever an hour, you're going to be productive. It doesn't matter, right? So, and that's what we find with the Stampinator. It's a great piece of equipment. I think shops, they get excited about it. Their employees get excited about it.
And you've moved to
ease and pressure off
the other manufacturers too. You mentioned, right? You said, you mentioned a bunch at the beginning. Obviously, starting with Rock, but M&R, MHM.
Yeah, we've worked with Workhorse. Now starting to hopefully get in with M&R and work with M&R. And some of the dealers we have for Anatol we're working with, and they're selling the Stampinator as well. So it's been great. Look.
Can you share how many you guys sold roughly last year?
Yeah. So coming out of the pandemic, and not having trade shows for 2 years, we didn't do the Long Beach last year. There was a couple of people that pulled. I think M&R pulled out. You know, it was just kind of hit or miss and what to do, and fairly slow. So we sold about 100, a little over 150 Stampinators, right, which was good. This year, last year we did Print United in October, and that show was incredible. You know, we sold, you know, a third of what we had sold the whole year at this trade show. It was fantastic. And Long Beach, to me, was just explosive. Like now, you know, people know about the Stampinator. It's becoming a brand name, and, you know, they believe in the product. They've seen it, and everyone wants it. So this year, you know, our target's 350 units plus.
Yeah, that's huge. That's amazing.
My goal is to replace every flash that's out there on the market. You still need a flash, but to replace your flash on your underbase.
Well, and it seems like you had two things that lined up. It sounds like pretty well. You've put in, you know, 5-7 years to like start to build it up, create a good product, build a brand. And then this sort of intersection, it seems like, of transfers and their popularity has maybe clipped as well and maybe merged in, you know, especially with some of the marketing that's going on.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, working with Supercolor, Mike, he's fantastic. And
don't let it get to his head, Mike. If you're listening to us, you're just okay.
Yeah. Okay, Mike, you're just okay.
Okay, Mike.
Product, it's a fantastic product. It really is, and you know, there's a lot of great products out there. But I look at, you know, I like to endorse the people who work with me and want to work with me and build their brand. You know, one thing I'll tell you is between manufacturers, and I get it, I understand the manufacturing side of equipment. Everybody's secretive and nobody wants to let anyone know. But when it comes to the screen print side, you know, I feel like screen printers should work together and help each other out. And they never did that. And now we're starting to see more of that with YouTube and Instagram and Facebook. People are sharing content of what they're doing and what they're you know, outputting in their shop and some of the problems and issues. And I need that with the Stampinator, right? I need shops to tell me and work with other shops. How can I make the Stampinator even better than what it is? You know, and if you have a problem or something's not working, you know, let us know, because we'll take the time to test it and figure out the issues that you're having to make it work. And 90% of the time, it's human operator error.
So last episode, we were talking about ideas. It sounds like you are already working on some other stuff and or have some ideas. Kind of curious to pick your brain on, is there anything you could share first that you're working on already? A little teaser?
Yeah, we want to hear it.
Slant Engineering's pipeline of products?
Yeah, so the one product that we have is that we're working on, and we've been testing it, is, you know, when you run like anywhere from, usually I always find like 1,000 shirts or more, especially if you're doing like a red shirt, you have lint all over your press. It's all red, you know, you have it all over the floor. So we have a product that's going to eliminate about 80% of that, maybe even more. And I'm super excited about that. And then we have another one that...
What's that called?
The Lint Eliminator? Limpinator?
Hey, look, I got to stick with the brand, right? I mean, the Lintinator, the Lint Buster, the Lint Duster, you know.
Lint Buster. I love that.
It's still going to have an nator in it, right? And then one that we seem to always have a problem when we're printing a shirt and you have the underbase, and everybody calls them boogers that hit the any type of lint that's on the shirt gets stuck up on the underbase screen. You got to wipe the screen after printing 200 shirts or 300. So we have this device that we've created, and we've tested it. It works pretty well, but you know, I want to make sure it's perfect before it goes out to market, and it'll take the lint right off the shirt before you print it. And that is something I think, you know, that we need. So, and I say that because, you know, you look at when you're printing shirts, if you're printing contract or, you know, a shirt on a large number that you might not be making the money that you should be making, you don't want to have downtime. You want to get that press set up and continue the run and finish it. So And then we have a couple other products that, I'm still working on, but I'm hoping by Print United in Atlanta, we should have a couple of products out there to show.
All right.
I'm actually excited about it. Yeah.
I give you a lot of credit, Jeff, because there's not a lot of, there's aftermarket pallets, right? And there's some aftermarket add-ons, but there's not a lot of innovation on the press, from whatever the presses make, the press manufacturers make, that's what they serve the market. And if you think about the software world, there's apps and add-ons and additions and zaps and all that stuff. And so I give you a lot of credit. And I think to Bruce's, what he was saying earlier, I have not seen there. You're the only one, Jeff, that's done this, which is pretty spectacular to see. And hopefully it motivates others to find cooler ways to make our presses better, whether that's robotics or, making smarter presses. You didn't wait for a manufacturer to make it. You just went out and did it. And I think that's super cool. So, yeah.
Yeah. Look, I appreciate that. Look, it comes down to a lot of people have ideas and great ideas, but nobody actually executes on it. Right. So and a lot of times it's just because people just don't know where to start. Right. It's too overwhelming, too much. And, I think at the end of the day, I have to go back to really my father and kind of thank him, because my parents always bought these old houses and moved and fixed them up. And when I was probably at the age of 6, I'm down there digging a hole for a French drain in the basement, right? And that's kind of how it all started, just hands-on and just doing different things. And it's fun. I enjoy it, actually. I really do.
That's cool.
That's awesome. You guys have something in common. I feel like, Steven, you're also a lot more hands-on with a lot of stuff in building.
Yeah, I can do anything with lumber. I can't weld. And that's where my business partner, Jed, he's like, oh, people who can work with metal, we're just that much better. So I see that.
Look, hey, I got a Harley. I've tore it apart probably 10 times, and it was a Softail custom originally. I've had it now for probably 24 years. And when you look at it, you're like, what the hell kind of bike is that? But it's still badass.
Yeah, Bruce can barely put together IKEA furniture. So,
that's what TaskRabbit's for.
If you can't put IKEA furniture together, you should take it back, because it's going to break on you anyway.
Bruce,
this is cool. Any ideas, Steven, you'd like Jeff to build for you and put under the Slant Engineering umbrella? I feel like you always have some cool gadget or something that you.
I'll have to think about it.
The one is the press counter. You talked about using the Raspberry Pi.
Something that can just tell me if my press is spinning and how fast, and send it to my phone. That's all I want to know. I've been asking for 4 years. Someone can build that. You could just, is my press running? Yes or no?
It'll text you, or maybe it'll just text you when it's running every time it's running.
Your press has stopped. Your press is on. Your press is moving your press has been indexing for a really long time.
Yeah, look, what I'd like to see is for the manufacturers of press to. So I've been in some shops where they have a screen above, and it says 1,000 shirts an hour. Josh's shop, right in
Liquid
in Huntington. I've been in there. Above each press, he's got a big screen. It says 900 shirts an hour, 600 shirts an hour. I'd like to see somebody create an app so for each of the presses you have as a production manager or an owner, you can just pull on and just see, what are we running in our shop? Our technology today is where we are, right? How can we make things a lot easier? It's not really micromanaging, but just something that gives, a data, some numbers at the end of the week of what that press has printed.
I think this is an official call. I think we have to ask the community, if you can hack this together, message us. Jeff, I'll lead it with you. I'm here with you.
We're all. I think everybody's looking at Jeff now.
Because here's why. When I leave my shop, or anyone leaves, as an owner, production seems to back off a little bit. I can never really figure out why that happens. why can't we just have the same consistency? It's not like I'm out there, with a whip cracking people to work. It's just you get a whole different level of work. When I go out to California, and I'm thinking like, oh, are they producing everything that needs to be produced? Is there any issues? Is there going to be any problems? I'm not the only one that feels like that. There's a lot of people that in this industry, we feel like we live it at the screen print shop and we can't get away. I can't tell you how many customers I talk to that don't take vacation. I am one of those guys. I never take vacation. I'm always working, and you need to get out of these print shops because it's not healthy to stay in there all the time. It'll drive you nuts.
All right, Steven, ship Jeff a cutout cardboard like that. You ever see like Home Alone where it's like he's like pulling the strings in the glass window like back and forth? That's going to be your office. He's going to set it.
Hilarious.
Jeff's still here. It's 2 a.m.
Hilarious.
Jeff, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah.
This is Jeff Fiorucci. Did I say it right?
Stampinator.
Yeah, Stampinator Slant Engineering.
you said it
Hey,
right.
give this guy an innovation award if somebody's listening in one of the magazines or something, or whoever gives those out. I mean, this is anybody in the mad science category that we put on this show auto given an award. Jeff, thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate it. You could go to, what is it, Stampinator.com? Stampinator.com.
You go to Stampinator.com. You can check out all the latest feed and videos that we have that are coming up with different steps and processes of what we've been doing. And for all the Stampinator partners out there that purchased one, screen printers, distributors, dealers, all that good stuff, I really appreciate you guys, being behind Stampinator and believing in the product of, what we have done to hopefully change your life and make it a little bit easier.
Woo.
Sweet.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks, Jeff.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.